Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 52 of the Anime Banter podcast with your hosts, Turtle, Sean, and Mike. Thank you for joining us today. How you guys doing?
I'm doing pretty fantastic because it's our first year anniversary. What?
Woo!
Feeling good. I can't believe we made it to a year.
I know, it's hard to believe.
It feels like this podcast has just started. And it's like, oh, it's a year already. That's cool.
Usually projects that I start, typically don't last that long. I usually give up partway through. But here I am.
Yeah, I just I gotta thank Mike for keeping us honest. He's one of the driving forces of guys, got a lot going on. Do we really want to record this week? And we needed to try really hard to convince Mike to not record like between Christmas and New Year's. So
Yeah.
so yeah, our 1 week break that we had, I think Turtle and I were threatening a strike probably.
I just wanted to watch some more anime.
I'm always down for watching, but I think we definitely needed a week off just to pause, enjoy the holiday.
Yeah, I agree. But
Yeah, but still, we've only missed 1 week.
Yeah.
And that's for a pretty good reason. So, I honestly can't believe that you guys have gotten me to stick with this long because I don't commit to anything when it comes to stuff like this because I'm a person who does a lot of things. People who listen to the podcast on the regular know I do like a lot of traveling and things like that. And the fact that we've been able to make it work has been absolutely insane. And I'm really surprised that I'm still here. But hey, happy to be here. You're having a good time.
I was gonna say I'm busy. I'm a busy person, and Sean, you make me look like I have free time, like a ton of free time, with how busy you are.
Yeah, I do so much stuff, but this year's kind of an off year for travel for me compared to last year. Oh my gosh, last year was crazy. No international travel for me this year. But next year is another story.
And last year I felt like you were gone every other week.
Yeah, I was like between my wife took a bunch of work trips to Philly, so I went to Philly a bunch of times, and what is it? I went to Japan, and I went a few other places too, and like New York City and stuff like that.
You went so many places you were able to have a top 5 list in our end of year special.
That's
Yeah,
true.
still not too late, everyone, to go back and YouTube and listen to our year-end special. If you didn't catch our our series on Chainsaw Man or Vinland Saga, but you kind of want to know what we thought about them, like you could skip all last year's episodes and just listen to the recap. You'll get all the juicy tidbits and our overall thoughts.
Or if you haven't watched those shows yet, go back and watch them and listen to our episodes.
I made sure to do playlists on YouTube, so it's easy to follow along if you're following on YouTube.
Y'all can skip Reborn as a Vending Machine. It's trash.
I don't know. I mean, that was our first anime ranter. I lost it in one of those episodes.
That's a good point. That's a good point.
You can only take so much abuse from the vending machine show.
Yeah,
Oh, go ahead, Turtle.
I was gonna say I kind of like the isekai shows, like shut your brain off and be like, this is dumb, power trip fantasy. That's just not a good show.
Hit dumb power trip fantasy, always a harem, always.
Yeah.
But yeah, it was a legitimately bad show. Can't wait until we watch either the next one or that no one else will want to watch it. I'm just gonna do the solo anime Banter Blitz episode where I review all 12 episodes of Vending Machine. If that's something people want to see, post in the comments. When season 2 of Vending Machine comes out, I will blitz it all.
It's Turtle blitzing it, just being angry the entire time.
Yeah, I mean, I got my brother to write the guitar bits for the anime ranter, and like we haven't really used it because we went from that show to like Frieren, which has been really, really great, good beyond good.
To what Anime List is calling the best anime of all time.
Yeah, and rightfully so.
Yeah, my anime list it is surpassed. Full Metal Alchemist Brotherhood is great, like highest rated anime of all time, and that's not something you see every day.
No, not at all. So it's this is a great show. So I have no reason to rant. At least with Vending Machine season 2, I'll be able to rant.
I'm just glad we're keeping at this podcast because the whole idea going into it was to get me to watch more anime. And I remember texting the two of you on this. I'm like, hey, I've had this idea. Like, I want to watch more anime. Do we want to do a podcast just like talking about it? And so I'm glad we're keeping at it because I'm watching stuff I probably would never watch otherwise.
Like vending machine.
Like vending machine. Yes. Hello there.
Well, that's the thing, Mike, is that, you know, you didn't go through like the 90s watching a lot of anime, and you didn't go through like the 2000s era watching a lot of anime. And I've watched a lot of bad anime, and I'm sure Turtle has as well, right? So like, in our day, we watched a lot, just so much bad anime. The number of like anime that I have watched that have been like, this is a slice of life harem based on a dating sim that was probably like an 18 plus game uh sim, but like turned into an anime, like, but they don't show the nudity, that kind of stuff. Like, I've watched so many of those because I love the slice of life genre. But back in the 2000s, that's all you had. There were very few actually good like slice of life made, that weren't based on H games. So like, that's all I had. Had to accept it for my favorite genre. So yeah, I've consumed so much bad anime that Vending Machine was just another one for me. I would love to do like a list of like my top 5 bad anime of all time, but I've watched so much that I don't think, and I've forgotten a lot of them too, that I just don't think I can make a list.
Yeah. I mean, I've seen some shows that like I haven't liked, but typically most of the stuff that have been into have been like shonen type shows, and usually there's always something in there that I'm gonna enjoy. So I don't really know if I've watched a whole lot of that I would say like bad shows. Because if I start watching something and I'm not into it, I'll just stop and move on to something else and be like, no, this isn't for me.
Oh, that reminds me, I do want to ask our listeners, I've been looking for the name of this one for a long time. It's based on a dating sim. Apparently, it was one main character, but they split him into 2 characters. One is, I think, kind of like a bookworm character, and one is a soccer player. And each one of those guys hasn't, like, in their arcs, they have to choose between like 2 women. Um, if anyone knows what the heck I'm talking about, and can post that in the comments or message us on social media, I'd be very grateful.
I wish I could help you, but I have no idea.
Oh, it's pure trash. I just want to know what it's called.
Sean wants to relive the trash.
Oh, I don't want to relive it.
For research purposes only.
Yeah, no, it really is. Just because, you ever like hit a certain point where you're like, I've consumed so much media that I've forgotten the name of a lot of media that I've consumed.
See, that's just me like every day because I forget things. I have like the memory of 3 seconds of a goldfish. So you'd be like, man, I really enjoyed this show. What was it? I don't know. I can't remember. When'd you watch it? Yesterday?
Yeah, I've watched a number of movies. I do not know the name of them. Like, couldn't tell you.
Well, shall we get into the best anime?
Ooh, let's.
Oh, what, the GOAT anime Frieren?
Goat, 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 goat.
So today we are talking about episodes 23 and 24 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Episode 23, Conquering the Labyrinth. At the ruins of the King's Tomb, located in the Northern Lands, the second proctor Senza congratulates everyone who passed the first exam. She tells the test takers she knows what everyone says about her, but to put their fears at rest. She tells everyone they will not face the insurmountable and that the test is quite simple. Make sure you listen to her instructions. Cue the opening. The rules are simple. To pass the second test, all you need to do is reach the bottom floor of this dungeon. Wait, this dungeon's going to be brutal, right?
I love how Senza's like, oh yeah, listen to my instructions and you'll pass. And then her instructions are, get to the bottom floor. It's like, here I am thinking like, okay, she's going to like list off a couple things like, yes, you will pass if you're not an idiot and do X, Y, and Z. It's like, just get to the bottom. What?
Yeah, she makes it sound so easy. She says before that she's a pacifist and she hates conflict, and I'm like, oh, then surely this will be easy and no one will be in danger at any point, right? Right?
Wrong.
If for someone who's a pacifist, by the way, I don't know how much of I know we're not there yet, but like, how much is being a pacifist? If you're like, oh, I won't fight anyone, but I will just let other things annihilate people. I'm like, is that pacifism? I mean, I don't know.
A fair warning would have been nice.
I set up all these traps for you, but because I'm not physically beating you to death with a baseball bat, I'm still a pacifist. Like,
It's like Kevin from Home Alone. It's like, I'm a pacifist. I'm trying to kill you with these traps, but I'm a pacifist.
yeah, that's kind of how this feels. But I guess we'll see some examples of this going forward.
Bald Guy says, that's right, I'm calling him Bald Guy, I don't know his name. Bald Guy says that many have entered this dungeon before and have never come out. He asks Senza if she plans on failing everyone. Senza says she is there to gauge his ability to be a first-class mage. It doesn't matter who has come before. Bald Guy is embarrassed. I guess he's not going to pass this one, is he?
I totally understand Bald Guy's question here. Like, if most, if not all people have failed the dungeon run, like, how are we supposed to assume that anyone's going to pass here?
You just do it.
That's right. Just do it.
Do it.
But yeah, my big thing is you want to frame expectations, right? So if he's like, no one's ever done this, right? So like, how do you expect us to do it? And then she's like, I don't know, just do it. But like, I always use this term framing expectations, where like, if you know how hard it's going to be going in, you kind of like mentally prepare for it. If you don't know how difficult it's going to be, then it's kind of hard to prepare. So at least he, I guess, now knows that, oh, I'm up against pretty much an impossible task, and I have to find a way out of this. So I don't know. I thought the question was valid, but yeah, they made him look stupid.
Senza tells everyone she is going to descend the dungeon with everyone, but will offer no assistance. She does, however, give everyone a rescue bottle. When the bottle is broken, the golem inside will grow larger and carry the one who broke it outside of the dungeon to safety. If used, you will fail the test. At least everyone has a chance to survive this. The bottles will shatter in 24 hours, so let's go exploring.
I really like the idea that Senza will go dungeon delving with them. And also, these rescue bottles remind me of Legend of Zelda fairies in a bottle.
You gotta get the little sound effect when they pop out.
These must be some dang strong golems, by the way. If they're like, oh, it can keep you from harm, and I'm like, are we sure? Like, they're just clay golems. I mean, if they really can keep you from harm, like imagine like, I don't know. Well, I guess we're going to see some examples of it coming soon. I don't have to imagine anything. They're going to show some stuff.
Yeah, I'll say we'll get there, but those golems seem pretty buff.
Yeah.
The mages break up into groups to assess the outside of the dungeon and come up with a plan. Dankin says that they should all work together, which is a smart idea. Some dumb blonde kid says that that's a bad idea, and he goes in by himself. Now that is a bad idea. Most of the mages group up with the same mages from Test 1. Frieren and Fern pair up together, but Senza decides to travel with them. This is going to get interesting.
All right, couple observations here. 1, blonde kid clearly has not watched enough horror movies. This kid is so dead. 2, I'm a little surprised Denkin, Lavina, and Kana didn't group up with Frieren and Fern. Like, Lavina and Kana just saw how powerful Frieren was in Test 1, and Denkin fought Frieren and knows he has like no chance against her in a fight. So it's like, why would the three of you not go with her? Like, she's the strongest. You're probably the safest with her. And 3, we know Senza knows who Frieren is. So I wonder why she wants to get a close look at her.
Well, she probably interests her, I guess, to some extent. I think she thinks that, oh, Frieren's just the most interesting person here, which is accurate. Uh, a few things from my side. I think that I was also surprised more people just didn't jump it, like, Frieren, travel with me, Frieren, travel with me. Because uh, I think everyone probably knows she broke the barrier, right? So why would you not want to travel with the smartest and most powerful person in the party? It makes no sense. Especially the two people that she traveled with before. I'm like the two mages that Frieren carried on her back to victory in the last trial. Like, where are they? Why aren't they here? Why aren't they running at Frieren, being like Mistress Frieren or whoever? Like, please, want to team up again? No, like they're nowhere to be seen, and I'm like, this is so bizarre to me that there isn't a mad dash to her. I don't know about the story writing choice there, but for the narrative, like for seeing fun things in the dungeon, it works better that 9/10 of the people aren't with Frieren. But for my personal curiosity, I think it's kind of a plot hole.
As Frieren and Fern begin exploring, Fern uses magic to map out the dungeon as they go. That is a very handy spell. As they travel, Frieren stops Zenza from stepping on a stone tile that is a booby trap. Fern is impressed by Frieren's knowledge of dungeons. Frieren says it is because of Himmel. Himmel loved dungeons and would force the party to search the entire dungeon before they could leave.
All right. So Senza, literally the previous scene. I won't help. I won't offer assistance. I won't get in your way. Literally 30 seconds later, I'm going to step on this booby trap.
Oops.
Like, what?
I think she'd be a little better at that, right?
Like, you would assume that she had some sort of lay of the land with this being her test.
Yeah, I'm curious, has she gone through the dungeon? Like, do we know?
We don't know that, but, like, it seems like they know enough about, like, later on we see Ganao talking about it, and, like, so it seems like they know enough about it if they haven't traversed the dungeon.
Must be that pacifism.
Also, Himmel loving dungeons and wanting to force the party to search the entire dungeon. We all know Himmel is one of those people that just wants to go to a dungeon and grind XP.
Sometimes you gotta do it, man.
We had to beat the Demon King after all. You got to grind.
It's true.
Grind.
But I feel like there's a possibility Sensa's gonna have to step in at some point. I mean, how can you just stay completely neutral in a dungeon full of dangers? Like, also, to be fair, maybe Sensa's traveling with Frieren because she knows she won't have to step in. She's like, oh yeah, like Friren's got this, so like I'm just gonna travel with her because it's like gonna be the easiest ride to the to the end.
That's a good point.
That is a good point. I didn't think about that.
Just thought about it right now.
We get a flashback of the hero's party reaching a staircase leading to the bottom floor. Himmel says to turn around since they haven't finished exploring the current level yet. Eisen and Frieren don't understand why they don't just finish the boss monster, but Himmel wants them to have all the fun. Frieren tells him the dungeons will get harder as they travel, but Himmel says he'll have fun anyway. He tells everyone they could miss a rare grimoire, which gets Frieren excited, and she tells the others to keep exploring.
Himmel is one of those video game players that will examine every nook and cranny in a dungeon looking for loot. I respect it, because that's how I am too.
Agreed.
Himmel also knows what buttons to push to get Frieren to go exploring.
Oh yeah, like he knows Frieren really well. And he really is a true explorer. Like you said, he'll explore every corner of that dungeon to make sure he's left no stone unturned for treasure.
Lavina and Kana decide to head in together, leaving Dankin's group and two other women, probably from the dumb blonde kids team. Dankin says they could have all teamed up and shared information so everyone could have passed this test. Richter tells him the five of them are the smartest left and will surely not fall for any traps or mimics. Don't tell me.
Oh yes, give me all the mimics.
As soon as they said mimics, I knew it was up.
We cut to Frieren eyeing up a treasure chest. She says it could be a grimoire. She senses mana. Fern says they cast a spell to check if it is a mimic, and it totally is one. Frieren says that spell only has a 99% chance of accuracy. The most important discoveries are based on that 1%. She trusts in her many years of experience and opens the chest. It was a mimic.
Oh, Frieren.
Only 99% accuracy. I thought there was no way there was a mimic in there.
I love it. Her reasoning makes no sense. It's incredible.
She just can't resist opening treasure chests.
I mean, I don't blame her. I don't think I could either.
Yeah, neither do I.
As Frieren is stuck, she begins to freak out. It's wet and terrifying, not to mention dark. As Fern is trying to pull her master free, Senza is beginning to think she picked the wrong people to follow. No, Senza, you picked the most fun people to follow.
Help, Step Fern, I'm stuck.
Oh no. But yeah, I feel like Senza would just want to be with him to see what Frieren was like. If anything, like who is this person who defeated the Demon King? Well, now she's finding out.
Denkin's group finds a human shaped stain on the floor and ceiling. He tells everyone to stay away from the center of the hallway or the ceiling could come down. They come across a large door and Denkin begins using a spell of some sort. I assume he's checking for traps or trying to see what's on the other side of the room there. As he investigates, the gargoyles that surround the door come to life and attack. Laufin jumps out of the way as Denkin puts up a barrier and then attacks it, knocking off the gargoyle's arm. Richter summons some earth to smack at it, while a tall blonde lady puts up a barrier to protect her and Richter. She then turns her barrier into a laser blast and, after a quick beam struggle, blows up one of the gargoyles.
It was only a matter of time before things started to get crazy in the dungeon. I am a little bit bummed that we didn't get the visual of the laser beam blast going back and forth like we always do in Dragon Ball Z. Like, that's such a fun trope to me. It's like, oh, it's a struggle. What beam is gonna win?
I feel like that was a missed opportunity, right?
Yeah, well, they also wanted to show that the gargoyle is strong, but not that strong. You know what I mean? Well, like Dankin could take out these gargoyles. You know what I'm saying?
Also fair.
Like, they don't want to make Dankin look like he's struggling too hard against this stone guy. But I also love that trope, so I would have been down with it. I like that this team stuck together. Like, they're proving they have what it takes to go through the dungeon, and like them willing to travel together from the beginning. It looks like it's already paying off. Although, something bad is about to happen. So maybe, maybe it wasn't that great to travel in that big a group. Who knows?
Laufin teleports above the other gargoyle and brings it to the floor. It fires off a blast, knocking the small girl into another room. As soon as she enters the room, the door closes and traps her inside. Then the walls start closing in on her. Oh, and did I mention that the walls have all these rusty spikes on them too? Fun room.
I saw those rusty spikes. I'm like, oh, that has tetanus written all over it.
I'm sure at that moment she was definitely thinking about tetanus and nothing else.
Denkin creates a tornado, trapping the second gargoyle and smashing it with all the rubble in the room. Richter tells Denkin about the girl. Denkin shoots the door, but doesn't even scratch it. Denkin screams to her, "Break your bottle!" She does so, and the golem comes to life. It pushes back the walls and grabs her. It busts through the door like it's paper and runs her back to the entrance. Even a moment's distraction here could prove fatal. Who knows what else awaits us in this tomb?
Dankin was so confident in his attack that it would take the wall down, and the wall was just like, nope.
I was gonna say that was so funny how he just like he's really like, stand back, I've got this. Just like not even close. Like
Oh.
come on, Denkin.
Not even a scratch. It's like, oh, this attack will surely break this wall. And that's like, what attack?
Oh, it did nothing. Yeah. Okay, break your bottle. It's time to get out of there. You're gonna die.
Also, good to know the golem works. But is anyone else thinking for now? I'm waiting for that situation where like someone breaks their bottle and oh shit, it didn't work.
Oh, I got the dud. Nice.
Yeah, I was wondering about like we have a couple characters here who are not averse to violence, and I'm like, what if one of them just steals the other's bottle, so they can't escape? I thought about that too, like one of the mages just going crazy and stealing another's bottle, because they lost theirs maybe, or because they're just crazy and want to murder some people. We've seen that character already. So at the same time, the mage who made these is absolutely OP. Like, this golem is stronger than like every mage here except for Frieren probably, and maybe Sensa. I'm like, who made these? Because they are a freak with magical abilities.
We cut back to Fern, still pulling on Freeren's legs to free her from the mimic. Frieren tells Fern to stop before she's ripped in half. In order to save someone from a mimic, you must push them deeper in. The mimic will choke and then stop biting. After Frieren is freed, Fern destroys the mimic and begins cleaning Frieren's hair. She asks what Frieren did when she was alone. Frieren explains she used to blow them up from the inside, but it damages her hair.
Good to know mimics have a gag reflex. For my next D&D campaign, of course.
Uh-huh.
No other reason. But oh gosh, mimics don't seem too scary considering Frieren somehow never seems to die. So I'm like, I don't know why mimics are in here because, well, maybe just Frieren's a freak of nature. It just can't be bit by one. But I guess maybe a normal person would be. I don't know.
I mean, I think they mentioned that like the mimics feed on mana, and I guess like Frieren has so much of it, it would take forever for her to die that way.
That'd be a good explanation.
Yeah.
So now she could just be silly and like, help, help. As they explore the dungeon, Frieren finds the main route, but turns around to explore other hallways. She finds chests with medals in them, as well as another mimic. They can't believe how easy this is, since this is an unexplored dungeon. They decide to rest in the next room. Frieren says they have gathered a lot of treasure, but Fern says it looks like a pile of junk. As Frieren assesses her newfound treasures, Senza tells Fern she doesn't get it. Fern says she also does not understand why Frieren loves this either. Senza corrects her and says she does not understand Fern. She has never seen a promising mage like Fern that has no passion or determination. Fern tells Zenza she used up her determination, repaying a debt to Heiter by becoming a mage. That is why she has no passion. But seeing Frieren so happy makes Fern happy. That's so sweet.
So it is really nice to see Frieren continuing Himmel's ways of leaving no stone unturned in the dungeon. But the bigger point here that I'm wondering about is, will this scene with Senza change Fern at all? Like, Fern is like, I've always done things revolving magic for others, but never herself. And, like, she's never, like, done anything for herself. So, like, is this going to cause some, like, introspective at all from her? Like, is Fern going to change at all? Maybe she won't be as mean to Stark? I don't know. Like, it's the first time anyone really called Fern out for her BS.
Yeah, I don't know. Um, I don't think she's gonna start quote unquote living for herself necessarily. But Fern seemingly likes magic because it's all that she knows. Her dad, in air quotes here, Hyder, convinced her to do it. Her air quote mom, Frieren, loves magic. It reminds me of someone whose parents own a family business, right? Like if your parents owned a diner or a restaurant, right? And you were like, I don't actually really want to go into the restaurant industry myself, but like through my teenage years, I help them because it makes them happy and like I don't mind it, and I meet interesting people and do interesting things there. So like I feel like it's kind of like her going into like the family business, and when she gets older, she might just not really want to do magic anymore. She doesn't have the same spirit that Frieren has. I think Fern generally she likes Frieren, and I think she likes traveling. I think that's something that she enjoys probably. But at some point, I wonder if she's gonna kind of like settle down somewhere because maybe it'll lose its luster, and she'll finally have fulfilled her promise to Hyder in her mind. Uh, could happen, but either way, she does this because it makes Frieren happy, and maybe, just maybe, Fern will pursue her own happiness at some point.
We cut to Warble's group as they travel through the dungeon. Ere is caught by a binding spell and says there are 3 mages in this room concealing their mana. Warble seems excited as he defends the group from a blast. Sharf creates a bed of flowers and turns them to metal to create a wall to block the spellcaster's vision, breaking the binding spell. As the smoke clears, we see the three mages. They are copies of Werbel's group. Werbel tells Sharf to take out his copy, and for Ere to take out Sharf. Werbel says he can take out Ere.
So it's interesting that Werbel's like, all right, we're all going to fight someone else. But I wonder if the real test here is to beat your own your own copy.
That's a good point.
Yeah, like that certainly could be part of the test. It's an interesting development. Uh, Different from fighting like a dragon or a lich in a dungeon. So like I'm kind of down with it. Also, I wanted to point out that Sharf seemingly used the same flower spell as Frieren. I thought that was kind of an interesting. Like he just produced them out of nowhere, like Frieren can. So kind of like that.
Denkin's group has come across a copy of Laufin. Denkin shoots at the copy, but it dodges the blast. Laufin moves in for some hand-to-hand combat before stepping back as Richter puts up a wall. The blonde lady fires a blast through the wall and through the copy as well. This is some great teamwork. Denkin is shocked by how accurate the copy is, but Richter calls out the most important difference. The copy is the color of Earth, so they do not have to worry about attacking the wrong person. Denkin says they were right to team up since they have more options to deal with these copies. They enter the next room to find the worst possible outcome. A copy of Frieren.
Bum, bum, bum. I wonder if these replicas are as strong as the person they're replicating, because if so, they could be in some deep trouble.
Yeah, that's for sure. I don't complain too much about them going into detail about the magic of the world, but I need details on the copies, and I really need them to give them to me now. These rules are important for the enjoyment of the viewer. Please, please, please explain this. The fight against Frieren will be insane, and I'm really looking forward to it. Seeing Frieren versus Frieren could be fun. However, I think it's really important to listen to Denkin's description. He says, so is its behavior. It's possible it was even imbued with your memories. So the question is, if it has behavior and memories like Frieren, can they use things to its advantage? Like, would even a copy of Frieren really harm Fern? It's something we're gonna find out.
Another thing I'm wondering is, will these copies stop looking like Earth at some point? And it's like, oh crap, we can't tell the difference.
Ooh, that would be rough.
Yeah, if one of them had a, how they seemingly can use all the spells that the user knows, right? So, why couldn't one of them cast like some sort of glamour spell to look like not dirt?
Not dirt.
Also, the music as the screen raised up to get a close up of replica Frieren was amazing.
Oh, we've said this before. Like the music for the show is like absolutely incredible. But yeah, this track they used here was just it was just amazing. It left me speechless. Well, I think before we get into episode 24, we need a break.
You know what they say, alcohol is the best medicine. And that means that it's time for Mike's Beer of the Week. So this week's beer is a little different, as it's not on Untapped. It's not from a brewery. My in-laws made it, and it is a barley wine that was aged in a bourbon barrel, and they served it on nitro. It was a really interesting mixture. It had more wine flavor than a normal barley wine. But it was really good. We were just out there for an early Easter celebration, and usually it's like, oh, here's some bourbon, here's this, and they had homemade beer. I'm like, heck yeah, I'll try it. So this is more of a call to support your friends that are homebrewers. I've had some great homebrews in my life that I've drank. So if you know people that are doing homebrews, or if there's a homebrew festival in your neighborhood, definitely check it out. Those people put a lot of time and effort into brewing their beers, and they're things that you're not going to be able to just walk into a beer distributor find or walk into a brewery to find easily. So support your local home brewer just because it's a fun hobby to do. I used to brew some beers back in the day, using Mr. Beer kits. But yeah, support your local home brewer. Like I said, this beer's not on tapped, so you're not going to get an average rating, but I'm giving it a 5-star because my in-laws made it, and it's a home brew, and it's amazing.
Episode 24. Perfect Replicas. Gnau is talking to another mage about the dungeon. He tells us the boss monster is called a Spiegel, or the Water Mirror Fiend, and it is able to copy a person's strength, mana, and techniques. In order to conquer it, you need teamwork and self-understanding. Back inside the dungeon, Dankin and the party square off against the false Frieren. It powers up a magic spell, and Dankin calls for a retreat. Everyone manages to get back outside the room without getting blown up. It's time to strategize.
So, anyone else notice that the artwork they cut to when Gnau was talking about the Spiegel, the two mages sort of looked a lot like Frieren and Fern.
You know, I did kind of notice that, and I'm glad you pointed it out because when I watched it the first time, I noticed that, and I forgot to make a note of it when I was watching through the second time. That's a good shout out. I don't know if that means anything or if it's just kind of like a fun Easter egg for the viewer.
I actually did not catch that.
So it'll be interesting to see what that artwork means in the future, if anything. It feels like it's going to mean something because they're not just going to put that in there for shits and gigs.
Yeah.
Also, I love how Danko was like, "Run away! Run away!
Run away!
Run away! Run away!
Yeah, just wise old Dankin just saved them all. Freer's about to whittle the numbers down halfway in this competition, and good on Dankin. He's the only one here in his group who's actually gotten to face her. So like he knew what was happening. He's like, we gotta go.
Elsewhere, Ubel and Land are cornered. Land has been wounded and is bleeding badly, though he remains calm. Ubel's clone has trapped them and stolen Land's golem and is studying it. Ubel asks how good of a copy she is. Land tells Ubel that she loves to talk and that the clone is probably unable to speak. Ubel agrees and then asks if Land is the real Land or a clone. Land does not answer. Ubel offers Land her golem, but Land refuses, saying she will need it later. Ubel decides to get Land's golem back and launches herself at her double. As the mirror match begins, we hear Ubel's thoughts while they fight. She has to get close enough to see her clone to cast the binding spell, but also stay out of view so it is not cast on her. Ubel thinks that her luck is terrible as she is caught by the binding spell from her copy. She says aloud that her double's luck is worse than hers. Land appears behind the copy, ready to attack. The copy spins around to strike, but Ubel is freed since the copy looked away. Ubel strikes, cleaving her double in half. What a battle!
Ship! I loved hearing Ubel's thoughts during the fight, though.
It was very cool.
Yeah, I'm anti-shipping this one. I don't ship Ubel with anyone because she's still nuts to me anyway. Though hearing the way she thinks about things and like hearing like how she processes battle and things like that was pretty interesting. Because she's crazy. We want to get inside her headspace a little bit. Don't know why she's so bloodthirsty, because here didn't give me that vibe. Is it just the pursuit of magic? She has to like get in the heads of other people. Has she had like a bad life and kind of just ended up down this road? I would like to know a little more about Ubel and why she kind of is like just okay, just murdering people.
I agree, Sean. I would very much like to get some Ubel backstory to figure out what happened to this kid. It turns out the wounded Land was in fact a clone. The real Land asks why Ubel put herself in danger. She tells him she knew he would save her. Land asks if she is able to empathize with him yet. And she says no, not yet, but she's getting closer. Land is stuck with Ubel for a little while longer.
Ship.
No.
No.
Ship. I did think it was really cool that Land was able to create a clone, his bottle as a clone as well. Like, it's just cool to see his powers and what he is able to, like, create a clone of.
Because if you think about it, right, if he can clone his clothing, if he puts the bottle in his pocket, why couldn't he clone the bottle as well? So it's a really fun nuance. But yeah, Land's a sneaky guy, but he doesn't seem like a bad guy though, and I kind of like that. He just we just don't know too much about him.
Frieren's group continues towards the bottom of the dungeon. Frieren is sure there is a hidden room in the hallway and asks Fern to bring up the map. As Fern studies the map, I can't help but feel like that I'm playing a video game trying to find out where to go next. Frieren finds the key to open the room, expecting to find a hidden grimoire. I love the smug look on her face as she hums to herself while heading up the newly revealed staircase. They find a mural of the king that is buried in this dungeon. I wonder if this king character means something important, and if we will find out someday.
I would have absolutely lost it if there was a giant mimic hidden in this room.
Just this huge chest.
It's like, look, rare grimoire. Oh, I'm stuck.
Just eats Frieren whole.
This mural is definitely leading to something, though. They wouldn't just throw it in there for no good reason.
I mean, they could, but I'm thinking back to the time of we got a little tidbit of Croft's journey, and this is going to be revisited at some point. I wonder if Croft is somehow connected to this ancient king. I mean, anytime something's older than Frieren, I just assume that Croft is going to be involved somehow.
That's a good thought, actually. I didn't think about that.
I didn't either, but that's a very good assumption.
Now I gotta know who this king guy is.
Yeah, every day I'm tempted to start the manga, but I won't for now.
It's all for the podcast.
Yeah, but seriously though, wait till season 1 is over. I may not be able to resist.
Right? As Frieren's party reaches the bottom, they run into Denkin's group. She asks, why are they all just standing there? Denkin says that the end of the dungeon should be just beyond the doors, but Frieren senses a but. Denkin tells her that thing has been stopping them from pressing on. Frieren peers through the door to see herself and says that things are getting interesting. She calls it interesting, but I call it dangerous.
I love how Frieren is excited by the prospect of fighting herself. It's also fitting that the Frieren replica is what is standing between them and the bottom of the dungeon.
Frieren is a very fitting final boss, isn't she?
Yeah.
But there's some copies we haven't seen. Earlier up, did one of them mention that they fought a fake Fern, or did I imagine that?
I don't believe so.
Yeah, I don't recall that either.
Okay, that's fine. Because I just want to know when we haven't seen all the replicas yet, so I'm like, are they we're just gonna ignore them? Or are they just other places in the dungeon we haven't seen yet? I don't know. I'm kind of curious if we're gonna see other replicas that we haven't seen yet, and people are just gonna have to fight themselves. I don't know, but yeah, Frieren being the final boss makes so much sense.
Denkin asks for some help to stop the copy of Frieren. Frieren theorizes that if the copy can imitate her strength, it should also copy her weaknesses. Richter suggests hypnosis, but Frieren tells him she is resistant to that. Denkin says that the blonde lady, Matoda, is good with hypnosis and asks for her help. She steps up and hugs Frieren, trying to cast a restraint spell on her. It does not work, but Frieren hugs Matoda back and says she smells pretty. Fern gets mad. Matoda tries to hypnotize Frieren by staring into her eyes, but that fails as well. Fern steps up to pull Frieren away from Matoda. Fern is very protective of Frieren.
Fern just refuses to let anyone get close to Frieren in any touchy-feely way.
Yeah, she's very possessive of her, for sure. But I'm just throwing it out there. They've been running around and getting sweaty in this dungeon. And if Matoda still smells good, I'm like, she has to have some magic perfume or something. Because I would imagine everyone would smell nasty at this point.
Matoda says she is not good enough to unravel Friren's defenses, but one test taker may be up to the task. Adele is better at hypnosis, but she is not good in combat. Matoda does not think that Adele could make it to the bottom of the dungeon on her own. Matoda tells us that hypnosis magic only works on those with minds. Since we don't know if the clones have minds, we don't know if hypnosis will even work.
I love how when Matoda is like explaining the hypnosis magic, Fern still won't let go of Frieren.
That is pretty funny. But I do want to say this theory really interests me. I want to see where it goes.
We cut to Adel's group, and they have run into a problem. A big problem. They found a copy of Senza, and none of them are strong enough to defeat her. Also, as a side note, good old Dusty, as I will call him from now on, is voiced by Chris Sabat. I love this guy. I'm going to call him every time that we, hear Chris Sabat's voice. I'm just going to call it out. It's just something I have to do.
Dunsta is rocking that amazing mustache.
Call him Dusty.
Dusty. Also, Christopher Sabat for life.
He's the best.
It's pretty good, I guess. I'm kidding. He's one of the top tier, in the upper echelon. But Copy Senza looks pretty scary. Like regular Senza looks so harmless, and Copy Senza, like the hair is like all crazy and floaty looking, and I just love the design because I don't know what it is. Like you look at regular Senza and you look at Copy Senza, and Copy Senza looks really dangerous. Honestly, almost inhuman. But unfortunately, Dusty and Baldy or whatever, they just look like a couple of jobbers to me. So I think their time is up soon.
Dusty and Bald Guy, not going to make it.
And that's why I'm not going to give them real names.
Exactly. Just Dusty
jobbers.
and Bald Guy.
Dusty and Bald Guy. Rest in peace.
Ada reminds us of the needed mind to use hypnosis magic and says the three of them are no match for the Senza copy. Senza has magic layers woven through every strand of her hair and can attack with each strand at once from all directions. Dusty and the Bald Guy ask if there is anything they can do when the Senza copy attacks. The group throws some rubble at the clone, and Adele tells them to cast a defensive barrier. The clone uses its hair as drills to try to break the barrier. As Adele makes eye contact, she casts her spell. She shouts, "Kneel," but just gets stabbed through the chest in a split second. The copies do not have a mind.
Senza's hair magic is nuts. Like, how strong is she?
It's pretty freaky to watch, too.
Yeah, and she's very scary. Perhaps a worthy opponent for Frieren. That's what I'm wondering. Is she going to have to step in? What if that Frieren somehow flies out of there and starts attacking Senza?
Oh boy.
Would be kind of freaky that she may have to step in herself. But man, I'm not going to lie. I was really, really worried about... Is it Adele or Adel?
I'm not sure how it's
I
pronounced.
can't remember. Well, our hypnotist, I guess. Straight up, I thought the way they showed it, I thought it went straight through her heart and she was instantly dead.
Yeah, it's kind of what I was thinking, too.
Yeah, same.
I mean, I'm glad this show doesn't just willy-nilly kill off characters, but because I like when deaths in anime are kind of like impactful. So, but it certainly lowers the stakes kind of what they're doing when it doesn't feel like there's any real danger sometimes. There's some people died during the first exam, so I can't say that no one has died since the exam started.
I mean, to be fair, like, she could have died.
Yes, and if they didn't pop the golem, guaranteed.
Yeah.
But Senza is a pacifist, so no one's gonna die.
But her copy is not. Her copy's all aggro.
Also, how did Adele, Dusty, and Bald Guy think that this was a good plan?
That's why they're not going to pass.
What, hypnotizing?
That it's like, okay, We don't think it has a mind, but we're going to try it out.
It's because they had nothing else to go on. That's my guess. They're just like, yeah, I think we're just screwed, so this is like the only thing we think it might have a chance.
Or like, I don't know, maybe hide behind the barrier you're currently behind and be like, hey, look at me, kneel, and then duck back under to like see if it works or not.
They could have just doubled back to try to find another way.
Yeah.
That's what I didn't get.
What if Sensicopy's just that strong? I mean, that fast, I mean.
Well, that's a good point.
I mean, end of the day, this was just a means to an end to show that hypnosis won't work on the Frieren replica.
Yeah.
And they showed it.
Adel tells her team to find help from others and breaks her bottle. Dusty and Bald Guy take off, trying to escape the copy of Senza. We get a montage of the other mages making their way through the dungeon. My favorite was the dumb blonde kid curled up against a broken pillar. I'll do this alone, he says. I don't need help, he says. Look where that got you. They should have all just stuck together.
I was waiting for our weekly montage.
Yeah, we do get them on a weekly basis, I think. And I do love a good montage. But the blonde guy cracked me up the most. He might be lost. I have a funny feeling he's not going to make it to the third round.
We cut back to Warble's group fighting. Well, Warble's group. He says that in a contest of mana, Eri would beat both Sharf and himself. Warble, however, says he can beat anyone. Eri fires some blasts and is able to hit fake Sharf. Warble fires some blasts at the ceiling and drops some debris on fake Eri. This fight seems to be over.
Is that a crush Warble is growing for Eri when talking about her mana with that smirk?
I mean, we know it's happening. A lot of these, there's a lot of like angst in shipping and hints at a lot of these characters getting together, but a lot of them knew each other before they even stepped foot. I mean, it makes sense, right? Like it's like when a bunch of people who are the same major at a small college, like get together. You know what I mean? You're like, yeah, like some of them are better friends with them than others. You know, some come from different backgrounds. Maybe some were friends in high school. You know, things like that. So it's just kind of that kind of feeling to me. But yeah, they definitely do a lot of potential shipping in this for us. But I appreciate that from them. I thought it was a mage exam, not a singles retreat.
Dankin and Frieren come to the realization that without knowing if the copies have a mind or not, they will need to defeat them with brute force. Dankin is thrilled, but Fern says that she might be able to kill Mistress Frieren. Frieren says good in a very creepy way, and let the strategizing begin.
You know, this is something that Frieren was hoping would come up at some point during Fern's training. A fight between the two of them.
I think that's probably right. I mean, Frieren has admitted that she's not like the strongest mage ever. She's not the best one, and she has lost duels before. She says it. She's like, yeah, I mean, like I've lost. You know, she's pretty humble for someone who has as much mana as she has, but I guess she's been humbled by people with less. There are three things that I'm theorizing at this point. First is that even a copy of Frieren can't bring herself to kill Fern. I think we kind of mentioned they don't have a mind, but they still have a lot of mannerisms, and you know, they know the same spells, and maybe, just maybe, a copy of Frieren can't kill Fern. Another is something Frieren mentioned a long time ago. She said that Fern is actually a faster caster than Frieren is. She said this episodes ago. But yeah, Fern can like cast Zoltrak faster than Frieren can, and I wonder if that's going to come into play. And the third is yeah, they're just going to come up with a crazy plan between all members of the team, and we have no clue what it's going to be so far. Oh, and then the fourth is dumping a mimic into the room and seeing what happens.
It's the perfect plan.
Nothing can go wrong.
So with that, how did you two feel about these episodes?
Sean, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I'm going to need us to wrap up this recording so I can go watch the next two. That's how I felt.
that is very fair.
Yeah, that is how I felt about it.
We're running out of episodes for the season, so this test has to finish within the next. You would think it ends the next episode, so we only have 4 episodes left.
If they leave me hanging and make me watch another episode in the second exam, I am going to lose it. I'm not going to be okay. Like, I don't know how I'm going to wait a week. I know we have the rule, guys. We have the rule, but it's going to be hard to not watch ahead.
I mean, Turtle's been breaking that rule all season.
True, but I started the show before we started covering it, so
Likely story.
Yeah, there's the turtle exception. We have the turtle rule.
yeah, this is the turtle rule.
We got our rule for how turtle does it.
I get to watch ahead because I want to. The turtle rule.
But yeah, that's seriously it for me. Like this was fantastic, and I need more. I think that the second test has not been like it hasn't like blown me away, but I've really liked the time that we spent with Frieren and Fern in the dungeon. It's been like the action's whatever, but Frieren and Fern are really what's carrying this for me.
The stakes for this exam feel much lower than the first exam, if that makes sense. Like, yes, we're one step closer to them becoming first-class mages, but like how this exam has been laid out, it just feels like less.
Does it feel easier to you? Like,
yeah, a little bit, because it's like, hey, you just have to get to the bottom. You don't have to capture Stillas. You don't have to survive with your Stilla for so long. Like, it's literally get to the bottom of the dungeon. If you want to work in one big team, you can.
I think you're right, Mike. I think that's kind of like the part that's getting me about it too a little bit is that like it almost feels like they should be reversed. Where like exam 2 is just like all mages working together to, get to the bottom, and then like the second exam could have been like where Frieren and Fern built some bonds between some of the team members, then go into the next exam and like have to face off against them for Stilla. Could have had a little more impact, I think. But maybe taking for granted the seeds that they planted with the first one because I already know a lot about a lot of the characters. So maybe I'm just taking it for granted.
I'm excited to see where it goes from here, though. I cannot wait to watch next week's episodes. Turtle, what did you think?
I really like these two. I think, the test 1 is like in this enclosed, forest area. Test 2 were like inside this unexplored, quote unquote, dungeon, unexplored. I like the setting change. Senza seems interesting, and her copy is terrifying. So that maybe they did this intentionally to show us, like, here's kind of what Zenza can do. Maybe we'll be seeing more of her later on. I don't know. But that's an interesting kind of thought, having to have the characters fight these doubles, essentially, of themselves. Sometimes they bump into their doubles. Sometimes they're bumping into other people's doubles. So it's a neat way to have these characters, interact with themselves, even if it's not with themselves. So I thought it was a neat idea with the double thing. But I think they're a lot of fun, and I'm excited for the next 2, even though I already know what happens. But now it is time for the waifu of the week. Mike, why don't you go first this week? Who is your waifu and why?
Low-hanging fruit. I'm going Frieren. Just because, one, she had so much fun exploring the dungeon. Like, oh yeah, it's probably a mimic. Oh crap, it is a mimic. But look at all this loot I can find. So, that was just really fun. And then, like, watching her at the end of like, yeah, I can't be hypnotized, but Matoda, you smell nice. And being excited about Fern having a way to possibly defeat Replica Frieren. I'm like, oh, I'm so excited for the next episode with whatever Frieren and Fern have planned. So, low-hanging fruit. I try to not pick the main character often, but this week I'm going with Frieren.
Sean, who is your waifu this week?
Yeah, I picked Frieren last week, and I was kind of in the same place as Mike, where I was like, I don't want to pick Frieren 2 weeks in a row, but I could see almost any week justifying picking Frieren. This week I'm picking Denkin, solely because when he saw the copy Frieren, he just started screaming, "Run!" and probably saved like 4 other people's lives. So, Duncan, for saving everyone, you get my waifu of the week.
All right, everybody. Thanks for watching. That's the end of the episode.
Wait.
Hold up a minute.
You're going to make me try to pick somebody here.
You're dang right we are.
All right. So here's the deal, everybody. Usually we definitely take notes about stuff we want to cover, and we usually write down our waifu of the week. I honestly can't really decide. I mean, these episodes bounce around from person to person so much, they don't really focus on one person all that much. So I was kind of a toss-up between Frieren and Danken. I kind of like those characters a lot. I don't know. I'm just going to pick Frieren, I guess.
Yeah, when in doubt, pick the title character.
Yeah, I mean, I love Frieren and Danken. I think they're both great characters, and I'm happy to see that they've met at the bottom of this dungeon for this test. So they're gonna essentially be working together finally. So I'm very excited to see that play out. But yeah, it was really tough for me to decide because like everyone has a time to shine and do something cool. But I guess I'll just pick Frieren because, well, she's the star of the show.
Before we go, we have picked the lucky winner of our first anniversary giveaway!
Yay!
Huzzah! The winner of the 3-month subscription to Crunchyroll is Lee! We will be reaching out with your subscription here shortly.
Congratulations, Lee.
Congratulations, Lee. Thank you to everyone who entered the contest, and thank you for all the support over the last year.
Thank you all for joining this week as we watched Frieren Beyond Journey's End. We hope you join us next week for episode 53 of the Anime Banter podcast, where we will watch episodes 25 and 26 of Frieren Beyond Journey's End. Please give us a 5-star review on all platforms that allow reviews. If you are listening on YouTube, please like the video, hit the notification bell, and leave a comment.
The Anime Banter podcast can be found on Facebook, X, Instagram, Threads, and YouTube.
Thank you all for joining, and we will talk to everyone next week.